Hi, Paul.
Hi, mate, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Very good. Nice to see you after all this time.
Yeah, you too. Congratulations, married man again, Noah.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, not that I've had a chance to celebrate it very much since, but there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel now, so hopefully we can look
Yeah,
better times. So is Luke coming up with you, or is he?
he's joining from upstairs in his bedroom because he said he didn't want to sit next to me. So that's fair enough. I don't know why. It must be a father-son thing.
Well, mate. So what I'll do is I'll start letting everybody else in, and
Yeah,
I'll just introduce it, and obviously we'll talk to Luke and get his aspects and everything, and then just have some input from you as well from a dad's point of view
yeah.
journey, and I'm sure the parents
Oh,
will be happy to see what your view of it all's been as well.
yeah, no, absolutely. No, I certainly don't mind that, Paul. But yeah, I think he's popped upstairs anyway, so he should be joining on his phone soon anyway.
Right, fantastic. So I'll let them all in.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's well.
Right, Paul.
Hello, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. You?
Good, very good, mate. Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, good, mate. So what we'll do is we'll just give it a couple of minutes, just to make sure everybody's joining who's going to join, and then we'll just get straight into it. Okay, very good. Right then, I think that's about it. We'll get cracked into it. So as I say, Simon, hope everybody's safe and well again. We've had a little bit of good news this week that we've actually got a start date. So fingers crossed everything goes to plan. And I think you'll only have to put up with 4 more Zoom sessions of me waffling on. Okay, and hopefully I can keep getting good guests on like we've got tonight. I'm really proud of tonight's guest, to be fair. So Luke attended my sessions for a couple of years. He first started coming when I did a session up at Ossett in Wakefield. And then from there, he came down to Barnsley for a little bit. And then from there, his career started to really take off. Okay, so I'm hoping you're really going to take a lot from Luke tonight, because maybe 10 years ago or so, Luke was in the same position as a lot of you. And hopefully we'll enjoy his journey and seeing where he's gone from. So good evening, Luke. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Yeah. Hope everyone's well.
How are you after last night? Long trip home?
Yeah. Quite tired this morning.
Yeah, I bet you.
So.
Okay, good. So we'll start off with then. So how did you become a goalkeeper, Luke?
Well, to be honest, it wasn't planned, to be fair, but I was just like playing with my mates at a local team called Stanley United. So we had this friendly game and I got shoved in there. So, but I realised I was quite good, so I just stayed in. But when I was young, I wanted to be a winger, to be fair, because I used to play half in goal, half outfield. But as I got older, I wanted to be a keeper. So that's how I chose to be a keeper, to be fair.
Very good. I mean, to be fair, there's not many people who straight out and out want to be goalkeepers. There's always a little bit of a story behind it, why they end up in goal, why they get forced into goal. But then obviously once they're in there, they enjoy it. So at what age then did you really start becoming a full-time goalkeeper?
Well, about 10, I'd say, is when I fully committed to being a keeper. So that's when I become like Stanley United's goalkeeper.
Yep.
Then I just took it from there, like getting in on one-on-one sessions, like yourself and other people, trying to get better. So, but
okay,
yeah,
good.
it was about when I was 10, I fully committed to being a keeper.
And you played a lot of rugby as well, didn't you, at that time?
Yeah. That wasn't until I was about 13.
Okay.
So I had a good couple of years just being a goalkeeper then. But it was by the time I got scouted for Huddersfield is when I got into rugby
Yeah.
because
Then you had to make a choice, didn't you, between football or rugby and which direction?
yeah. Before my scholarship, I had to choose rugby or football, but then I just committed to going to football.
So do you think that the training you got from rugby as well then helped put you in good stead? Did that improve your football or anything?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Because like coming out for crosses, you got to put your body on the line, get hurt. But before rugby, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But after I started rugby, because rugby you just have to run into people, so that kind of got that fear aspect of getting hurt completely gone. So when I got back into football, taking crosses, getting bumped about, didn't faze me at all.
Very good. So obviously the training and the mental preparation from rugby put you in good stead for the goalkeeper.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. So one of the things, obviously working with you, one of the things that I picked up from a very young age was how coachable you were. So every time you turned up for sessions, you were always there on time. You were always focused, and never needed to turn around and to check if you were working hard, because you constantly worked hard, and which made my job easy as a coach, because all I needed to do was just give you the coaching points. Do you think that's helped you progress through the ranks?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was always willing to learn, because at the end of the day, if you're not there to learn, you're only affecting yourself, aren't you? Because
Correct.
You're there to get better, and if you just want to go there to have a bit of fun, a bit of a kick about, then obviously you're not fully committed. But you've always got to be willing to learn. Like, even if you think what you're working on in training, like if it's just a simple handling drill, you can always get better at that.
You can.
You can always get better.
And you can set yourself little targets as well, can't you? So just like you said, it's like a simple handling drill. You can set yourself a target and no drops. So if you think today I'm determined not to drop one football today, and that's how you can work on that. So good.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Yeah.
If my memory serves me right, then did you go to Leeds for a little bit before you went to?
I did. Yeah, I did. Again, I think that was when I was about 11. Is when I went to Leeds, but
yeah, that's right.
I didn't get anything there. To be honest, Leeds at that time was very unorganised, and I wasn't really enjoying anything there. So I just decided to back out and try somewhere else.
So really, then from that could have quite easily sidetracked you, couldn't it? So at the time, you could have quite.
If I decided to stay there and like even just a year, if I decided to stay there, that could have affected where I could have been today.
You could, mate. Yeah. So from there, then you went to Huddersfield.
Yes. After Leeds, I carried on playing grassroots for a bit. Then I eventually got spotted by a team called Rye Hill and Rycroft. So they had two teams, one Saturday, one Sunday. Then I played for them for, I think, 2-3 seasons. And during playing with them, I got spotted by Huddersfield. And that's, so I was about 13 when I signed for Huddersfield.
Okay. And so was the transition from Huddersfield then? Did Wednesday come in to get you, or was that when, because Huddersfield actually stopped their academy for a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. It was just the start of the under-16s when they decided to close the academy.
Yeah.
So that was a time where I was doing like GCSEs, like in year 10 of school, because we did our GCSEs early. But during that time I was studying, and I was looking for going on trials at different clubs. So I was very busy time then, going on trials and studying, which was hard at the time, but looking back was definitely worth it.
Okay, good. So we'll just get your dad in on a little bit on that then. So Phil, how did you find that process then? So obviously you'd taken him up to Leeds, and he hadn't been successful straight away from Leeds, and how did you feel about all that?
Yeah, it was a difficult time, because I think as a parent, you firstly you see your son playing, you enjoy seeing them happy playing with their friends, typically on grassroots. There's that enjoyment part of it there, which you know, the thing with Luke, watching Luke develop, he's always enjoyed playing sport. And what we found, you know, my wife and I, when we took him across to Leeds, is whether or not it was Luke's age, whether or not it was just the mix of coaches, the environment, it just didn't suit him. He wasn't happy. He went over there on a trial. I'm sure he would have been offered something if we decided to stay there. But you could see it was either too soon for him, taking him out of the grassroots program, and he just loved playing grassroots football, and that's what it was all about. You know, he loved training with the boys that he'd been playing with. He gave 100%, as Luke's mentioned. He played on Saturdays and Sunday teams anyway, and he did quite a lot of training, as you recall, Paul, during the course of the week anyway. So it was a real difficult time, but that completely changed. You know, he just knuckled down and enjoyed his sport. There was no pressure on it from us. He just enjoyed doing what he was doing. He then got spotted, as he's mentioned, by one of the scouts at Huddersfield, and we were in two minds whether or not to even take him there, but we thought we'll give it another go. There had been a bit of water that had passed under the bridge by then as well. So when Luke went to Huddersfield, it was just a completely different environment. You know, Luke fitted in really well. It's like anywhere, if you're enjoying it, the team that he was in, he slotted in with the lads well, the coaches really well. The goalkeeping coaches that he was working with just made him feel so comfortable that in the end it was an easy decision when he was offered a contract there. So as I say, it's probably just our experience. You know, we certainly would never disparage any of the clubs that are actually out there, but for Luke at the time, you know, it was a transition to Huddersfield, and Huddersfield was a perfect match for him. And you know, Luke was offered his scholarship at the age of 15, so he was offered early. His goalkeeping coach actually brought him in on his birthday to offer him his scholarship there with Huddersfield Town. But unbeknown to anybody at that time, Huddersfield Town, you know, later on decided that they were going to close their academy down. So you know, that's where the perseverance and really believing in yourself comes into it, because there were, you know, that was a difficult time for Luke. You know, he thought he'd got settled. He thought he'd got the next 3.5 years or so of his life relatively mapped out in one location. And, you know, you're telling people that this is what's going to happen as well, only to find that rug's being pulled from under your feet.
Yeah.
But that again is just part and parcel of what you've got to deal with. But it worked out really well for Luke. I think the trials and all of the revision in the car that we were doing backwards and forwards to training were definitely telling times at that point, because he was studying either for his GCSEs that he was taking a year early, or some of the mock exams. So it was really a tough time to actually do all of that, as well as decide on what the next club was going to be for Luke. And you know, we travelled the country a little bit then, didn't we, Luke? You had offers from a few different clubs.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, straight away from there, then, I mean, he's had two setbacks quite early, which could quite easily have pushed him in any direction. And also, from what you've touched on there, it's not only the commitment from Luke to get him where he is today. It's a commitment from yourself and the family, isn't it? It's a massive commitment to get him to that training. Yeah. I mean, I know at one point you was bringing him to me twice a week, and I mean, obviously, from where you are to Barnsley, that was probably what, a 40-mile round trip to come to Barnsley.
Yeah. I mean, we used to clock up a lot of mileage and a lot of time in the car as well, but we did our best to make that productive as well. And you know, when Luke was younger and we used to be waiting for him to train with you in Ossett and Barnsley, Luke used to have his phone out and we used to be watching little clips off YouTube, and he'd be looking at the best goalkeeper saves of the week and things like that, always before the training sessions. So, you know, it was good. It's good to try to do a little bit of that between parent and your kid as well. It's you know, I never begrudged any of that. I think it is a big commitment though in terms of doing that, but that commitment gets a little bit more as the kids get older anyway, and certainly as you're going through later football and academy football, if any of you manage to do that, there's a lot of commitment, a lot of travelling around. So you know, it sets the parent up, I think, pretty well for doing that as well.
And to be fair as well, I think one of the things that sticks in my mind with Luke was a friendship that he got with Billy Addy at Barnsley. Which, I mean, I think some Fridays he was coming to see Billy more than he was coming to see me. But I mean, I think one of the things with the football and the setup is the friendship circles. I mean, I've talked about it a lot with the students, but the friends and the connections that you make within the football is, I mean, that can bring you more success at times than the actual football does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Luke was, I mean, he was playing two sports all the way up until, as he's mentioned, until he took it seriously. But in essence, he was playing rugby and football all the way up until 16.
Yeah.
And Luke was also offered scholarships with rugby as well as football. So, he could have gone in either direction all the way up until 16, whereas he then made the decision to drop the rugby and concentrate on the football. But you've always been somebody who likes playing in team sports, haven't you, Luke? Even though you train in the little goalkeepers club, you're always part of the team.
Yeah, well, it's important to be in and around the team all the time, because at the end of the day, that's your own little group, innit? You've got to be willing to be friends. You've got to be willing to dig each other out when you need to. But at the end of the day, you're all in it together. So you've got to be close with everyone.
Right, and some people seem to forget that at times, aren't they? Goalkeepers seem to be scapegoats at times, and it's very easy to blame the keeper. But ultimately, it is a team sport, and we are a special position, which we're quite unique to the rest of the field because we can use as hands. But unfortunately, with that as well, we do seem to get the rough end of the stick at times.
Yeah, get the most blame.
Yeah. Okay, so good then. So your career started into Wednesday then. So you were at Huddersfield. They stopped the academy.
Yeah. So going around on trials, went to Chef Wednesday twice. So I got a really good feel of what it was like there. Really enjoyed both sessions that I had. Got along with Nicky Weaver, who was a coach at the time, and Andy Rhodes, who was the first team coach at the time, and also the outfield coaches that made me feel very welcome, very warm welcome. So I just felt like I could get along with everyone there, the coaches, the players, and just saw a good future there in terms of excelling and improving.
Yeah. Okay. So you've already touched on there. So obviously, the club can make a big difference, can't it? The coaches at the club can make a big difference. You went to Leeds, and that weren't quite right for you. You went to Huddersfield, and you love that. And then obviously we know how that ended up. And then again, you found another club, and it works for you.
Yeah. I think it's very important that you get on with your coaches, because if, like at Leeds, if you have a bit of a naff coach, like you don't really get along with them, you feel like you're a bit left out. Because if you don't get selected for the squad, you have that self-doubt, like, oh, is it something personal?
Yeah.
Is it something to do? Does he not like me? But if you're on good terms with all the coaches, and then you get left out of the squad, then at least you know that it's based on what they think's best for the team and on your capability and your performances.
It is, and also sometimes they're testing to see how you respond, aren't they? So you might have not done anything wrong at all, and you might be fit, you might be playing well, and then one week they'll leave you out of the team because they just want to see how you react, and they want to see if you drop your head up, they want to see if it might give you, and they want to see if you're a team player, because all the time they are testing you, because they're testing you to be in that first team place where you've got probably 20,000-30,000 people on your back, and how do you react to a situation that ain't quite going your way?
I think in the case, if you're being dropped from the team, I think you just take it as it comes, take it on the shoulder, because at the end of the day, it's football. The team changes every game, whether that's the keepers, the defenders, the strikers, everything changes every week. So I think in that case, you just need to take it on order and get on with it. At the end of the day, if you react positively to it, you'll probably be in starting 11 next week.
It is. Agree. Well done, mate. So Nicky Weaver, then did you work with Brian Peck at all at Wednesday?
I did, yeah. In some of the early days, yeah, when I was still under 16s, we used to do odd sessions with him, but mostly I was in and around with Nicky Weaver with the 23s at the time and the 18s.
Brian's been
So
around for a
it
long
was
time.
mostly just the evening sessions.
Yeah, Brian coached me when I was about 10 years old, so that shows how long Brian's been about.
Yeah.
So your connection with Nicky Weaver then, so how important do you feel that the relationship with the goalkeeper coach is?
Oh, it's vital, because it's like at the end of the day, it's someone to be there for you. It's
Yeah.
like you're training with them every day, so like you almost as keepers, like you say, they're unique positions. So like you've heard the term keepers union. You all got to stick together. At the end of the day, you're like a little group, but you're training with each other. You know what each other's going through, so it's vital to have a good connection with fellow goalkeepers and even the coach.
It is, isn't it?
So
And
vital, yeah.
you pull each other along as well, don't you? So even though you maybe's not in the
Yeah.
first team, you can't have your head down in training, and you can't think, well, I'm not going to serve very well. I'm going to try and stitch him up with some of the saves and this and other, because he's only going to do the same to you. So then what happens in the sessions? Then
Yeah.
the sessions end up falling to pieces, don't they? But if you've both got the right attitude and you're both trying to improve each other, you both, or all 4, 5, 6 of you all develop and all improve together.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good, sir.
Yeah, and it was a very important decision as well, wasn't it, Luke, when you went to Sheffield Wednesday? Because the things that we were looking for in among all of that was not to make similar mistakes to what we'd done with Leeds. So, Luke had been offered academy places in quite a number of clubs around the country, but some of those just didn't feel right to you, did they, Luke? I mean, we spent a lot of time travelling around looking for the right club, and indeed, he was offered quite a number of different clubs, but Sheffield Wednesday had a very similar feel to what Huddersfield did. It's difficult to explain. It was a bit more family. It felt as though the coaches were going to look after Luke. So as a parent, I felt very comfortable. Not that I would have necessarily felt uncomfortable with some of the other clubs, but there was also some of the clubs that were offering Luke academy places and scholarships, which it didn't really feel quite as good. Some of the bigger clubs as well. So I think what Luke needed possibly fitted him very well. It may not be the same for everybody, but at that time and that age, we put a lot of focus on making sure he was going to be trained with somebody who had similar physical attributes, somebody that Luke could get along with a nice personality that would actually work him really hard and hopefully look after him and develop him. And we took a lot of time thinking about that, didn't we, Luke, at the time?
Yeah.
So when you moved to Wednesday, then did you leave home? Was you in digs at Wednesday, or was you travelling?
Yeah. So when I first signed, like I said, I just finished my GCSE, so I literally just had 1 week off before I was straight back into football. But yeah, just as I started, I moved out of home and lived in accommodations in Sheffield for the next 2 years, which was tough, to be fair, moving away from.
I mean, that's
it was tough.
And a big part on the decision as well. I mean, we did a Zoom with me at the start of the session, and we talked about my career, and I actually turned Manchester United down for the reason that I didn't want to move away from home. I wanted to stay, but I'd already been away from home for 2 years when I was at Lilleshall, and I didn't want to be away from home again. So that's why I signed for Sheffield United at that time. So I appreciate how difficult that decision had been to make at 16.
Yeah,
you're following your dream, but also you're moving away from home, and that's a big decision to make.
I think Sheffield as well, it's not too far from me, so it was quite easy for me to get home.
Yeah.
Like either by train or getting my dad to pick me up. But I went home like 1-2 nights a week. But to be fair, the digs people that I was staying with, they were very, very warming, nice family. Made me feel very welcome and looked after. So even though I was out of home, it didn't really feel that I was away. because I had that close connection. Because like, I could have gone home whenever I wanted, because I was that close. But I think, like, say if I had to move to the other side of the country, I think that's much more harder because you're leaving everything behind, and you're having to like recreate your new life over there.
Yeah, it's not
So,
just an hour up the road, is it? It's 4, 5,
Yeah.
6 hours, and it probably means your dad taking a day off work to try and come and get you, and your dad taking a
Yeah.
day off work to take you back rather than just bobbing down. So yeah. So let's try and move on then. So what's driven you the most then? So once you've got to Wednesday, obviously into the place now, you've obviously worked hard. What's your driving force?
I probably say because on my first year, with the scholarship, it's very seniority. So the older players get prioritised, like starting 11, because obviously they're fighting to get their pro. So everyone said the first year scholarship is your development year. So I spent pretty much every game that season on the bench. So I think that year was definitely tough for me, but I persevered and kept trying hard in training, kept pushing myself because I didn't dwell on it too much, even though it did take quite a chunk out of my confidence because like everyone wants to be in the starting 11, and when you're not, you feel like a bit down about it. But I think it's important to just overcome that and keep pushing, keep trying to be the best, which eventually will like you'll get into the starting 11. Because in the second year of my scholarship, I was number 1.
Yeah.
And I was playing every game. So
and do you see yourself where you are now then in a similar position now, but obviously rather than trying to get into the first team of the scholarships, you're now trying to get into the first team for the first team?
yeah, it's pretty much the start of this season is kind of like the same story as my scholarship because the start of this season, we're having all new coaches coming in, people preferred different players, and the coach that we had come in preferred the other keeper over me. So all the pre-season and the start of the season, the other keeper was with the first team, and I was left with the 23s. But that didn't really faze me because I was getting regular football with the 23s, so I could get my sharpness back and develop a bit more. Then halfway through the season, I started being more involved with the first team, getting in training, getting to games, and I slowly overtook him. And now he's in my position and I'm in his. So I'm with the first team regularly now.
Yeah, very good. So what's it like then being around the first team?
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's very different to what you'll have at even 23s level. So different. Like staying in hotels, like 5-star hotels all the time. Coaches, even the travel down on the nice coaches, you get a nice table to yourself, plenty of room. Even like warming up, you're just like, fair enough, the crowd isn't there, but the feeling is still real. Like you're playing in a stadium.
And I think as well, I mean, when the crowd are here and back in, you still feel that pressure and that nervousness even when you're doing the warm up. If you're crossing the ball up to the first team keeper, you're wanting to make sure that his preparation's right. So you do feel that pressure when you're doing the warm ups.
Yeah, definitely. But it helps being in and around them more because, like I say, more you're around them, more you get to know them, the more like you've become friends. So you go from seeing them as the first team keeper, got to impress. You go from seeing them to who they actually are.
Yeah.
And like you're more of a friend basis. So that pressure definitely comes off the more you know them, but it's still always there.
I felt in my career that I got a lot from Alan Kelly, who was at Sheffield United, who was similar to Kieran Westwood. He was the Irish number 1 at the time. And I felt that when working closely with them, that is the best lesson you'll ever learn. You can have goalkeeper coaches, you can have all the information, but I think when you're looking up to a goalkeeper like that, and then they're taking time to point things out to you, I think that development process is vital.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of Kieran Westwood because at the start of the season, as we all probably know, he was dropped from the team. So he was training with the 23s quite a lot and training with myself. So during that period, I learned a lot off him. And now he's back in the first team and I'm there with him.
Yeah.
Just kind of makes it all, doesn't it?
And I think it helps bring you along as well. So obviously when you with the scholars, and then when you've with your under 23s, you're working with a keeper who's similar to you. So
Yeah.
you tried to find that you'll get very similar, but then straight away again, wow, I'm working with the first team keeper, Irish international, obviously a lot of experience. So then you've got to up your game again, haven't you? You've got to really push yourself to try and match him.
Yeah. Well, every time I train with them, I always try to be on par or even better than them. It's like when you train with your own team, like you do a bad serve, nobody really says anything about it. But you go up there with the first team, do a bad serve. Good luck to you.
Yeah, it's a long walk off the training pitch when they won't let you work with them.
Yeah, it's a long walk down after a bad session.
Yeah, but that helps your focus as well, doesn't it? And your discipline and
yeah,
and obviously it helps with distribution. It helps everything.
Yeah. It definitely makes you focus a lot more on your service because, like I say, you'll be laxy daisy with your own team. Go up there, you need to be on it, but you just need to trust in your capability. To be fair, because if you go up there all tight and nervous, that's when you make mistakes. But if you go up there calm and relaxed, have faith, then you'll do well.
And you're there for a reason. You're there because you're good enough to be there. And I think sometimes you seem to forget that, but you're there for a reason, and you've got to embrace that and enjoy it and use it to your advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. So we'll open it. Have you got anything else to add, Phil?
No, I think as Luke's mentioned there, I mean, there's perseverance and just making sure you believe in yourself is one of the key things. And I think, as Luke's mentioned, you just have to keep believing. There's always going to be some obstacle thrown in your way, and you just have to keep pushing yourself forward through it. I think Luke has, he's had his ups and downs like everybody else has, and you all goalkeepers, you all know how lonely it is in that net, and I'm sure all of the parents know what it feels like on the sidelines, seeing their kids stood there being lonely. It doesn't change however old they get. It's all the same sort of feelings, but it's making sure you don't dwell on that sort of stuff. Just focus on improving all the time. Every single session. Since Luke has been about 10 or 11, I've told him to go out there, enjoy it, and work hard. I think I probably still do exactly the same now, don't I, Luke? And it's those sort of things that you just got to believe in yourself. Just enjoy it. At the end of the day, you're there because you like to do something, and don't put too much pressure on your shoulders. Hopefully, then you'll just improve. It gets tougher when you get out of your own age group, as what Luke's finding now. He's had to battle through the under 18s and then get into the under 23 squad, and he's given away quite a few years with the first team as well. But so what? Just enjoy it. Go out there, do your best, and fingers crossed things will work in his favour as he moves forward. So I'm sure if there's anything to learn from that, it's just to keep plugging away, keep enjoying and doing it.
Okay, brilliant. Really enjoyed that. Right, then we'll open it up for some of the students to ask some questions. There's quite a few Wednesday shirts I can see on, and Addy's got his hand up straight away already. So yes, Addy Wade, off you go.
How did you feel when Kevin Westwood broke his ribs?
Well, to be fair, he was struggling in training, so you could kind of see it coming. But the day where he dropped out, just before we travelled to Brentford, it was literally on the morning when he got his scan. The realisation of when you're going to be on the bench, you're like, oh, there's a possibility that I could get on here. So it's a good feeling, but also quite a nerve-wracking one, because there's a possibility that you could get on and make your debut. But definitely a good feeling. Don't tell him that.
And can I have your job?
keep working hard and you can.
Thanks.
Brilliant answer. That's what
No
I was
problem.
going to say. Okay, so we've just got one on the chat to ask just before we get the others. So I think you're going to get a lot of Wednesday questions tonight, Luke, I'm afraid. How Wednesday are playing at the moment? Is there anything that you would change? And would you use Westwood more than Wildsmith?
It depends, because in the situation we are in now, fighting relegation, it definitely helps to have Westwood's experience. But saying that, Joe's just as good as Westwood, so I don't really see any difference in that. But it would definitely help having Westwood's experience, because at the end of the day, he's one of the senior players in the team, and we need that to get out of this relegation zone. So
I think you just need to have a look at the Paddy Kenny situation at the minute. I mean, obviously, I know we all know that he's Warnock's long lost son, but just with him, with Warnock taking him to Middlesbrough, it's the experience and the knowledge that he's got in and around the squad that can make a big difference, isn't it?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. So next question then. Yes, Seb.
Do you think Sheffield United's better or Sheffield Wednesday's better?
Well, I'm going to have to say Sheffield Wednesday. I think Sheffield United's just had it easier run, easier games. But being with Sheff Wednesday, I've got to say Sheff Wednesday.
I don't think you've got a choice to how you answer that, actually, do you?
No.
To be fair, what
I think one thing to note as well, isn't it, Luke, that you got offered a scholarship at Sheffield United, so and he chose Sheffield Wednesday, so you know where his loyalties are.
Who's your local? Who's your support, Luke? Because it'll not be Wednesday or United, will it?
To be honest, it's no one, because Wakefield's very big on, so the closest to Wakefield is Leeds, but it's Leeds.
Have we any more questions, Ed? If you're not confident enough to ask, you can always put it in the chat and I'll read it out for you. I knew you'd want to have a question, Freddie. Yes, Freddie.
What club did you want to play for when you were younger?
Well, when I was younger, I always used to Bart, so I always used to watch him. So I had big aspirations of one day being at Manchester City. But yeah, my childhood team would have been Manchester City.
Okay, very good. Any more questions? All these Wednesday fans who were asking all the questions to the Sheffield United players and Barnsley players, you've all gone quiet. Go on then, Freddie.
Hi there, you're right. When you're doing your scholarship for all the kids really, what's the percentage wise of doing your scholarship and your education with the club?
Well, education wise, we get a BTEC in sport, and we also do a coaching badge. So we get our level 2 coaching badge. So education wise, very good. But whether getting a pro, from my experience and my age group, we had 11 of my age in like the scholarship, and only 6 of us got a pro out of that 11. So it's pretty 50-50 in my experience, but it could be different for how many players there are in a certain age group, and just depends what position you play, really.
Okay, good. So another question in the chat. Is there any other position that you'd like to play in? I think most goalkeepers we're secret strikers because we want to get some glory now again. Is that the same for you?
I'd say probably to do with my height, either a big target man up front or probably a centre half. So one of them 2 positions probably.
So if you get a little hand injury in a game, then you're going to be wanting to go
Yeah.
centre half or up front.
Yeah, big target man up front.
Good man. Yes, Addy?
Who's your all-time favourite goalkeeper, and do you think Gigi Buffon should retire?
Tough question, to be fair. There's quite a lot of goalkeepers that I like, but all for the different reasons. But for Premier League wise, probably my favourite keeper is Edison, just to do with the fact how calm he is on the ball. And literally he looks like he's always just so calm. And Buffon, again, I don't think he should, because even though he's probably one of the oldest, he's probably still one of the best.
He's 40 odd.
Still, he's one of the best.
Thanks.
Good question.
No problem.
Buffon's actually the same age as me. So for him to be playing in our body field,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
for him
quite
to be playing is still an achievement itself.
Yeah, and one of the things that impresses me with Buffon as well is how much the game's evolved in the time that he's been playing. The game has changed that drastically. I mean, obviously, when Buffon first started playing, he could pick back passes up. So how the game's changed, and for him still now to be playing at the level that he's playing at is, for me, it's phenomenal.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, good. So, how tall are you?
I'm 6'5".
6'5".
Potentially still growing, but I think I'm fully grown now. Well, I hope so anyway. I don't want to be any taller.
So, Phil, I think you're similar in stature, aren't you?
Yeah, I have to admit, I thought Luke was 6'4" 3/4, and I'm 6'5". So I've got to say, he's
You're
still
on
my
your way
little
down
lad.
now. You're on your way down now anyway.
Yeah.
Just while you're still on as well, Phil, do you think, because obviously you come from, you love your sport, you like doing your triathlons, do you think that's put Luke in good stead with how sport-minded you are as well?
Possibly. I mean, he definitely gets a strong work ethic. I mean, because I do a lot of sport. I used to play football a lot when I was younger as well, and I think, you know, we talk about sport a lot. You know, there's a lot of time in between sort of like his development where I was out on the field kicking balls at him, which I think, you know, any parent tends to do to try to help, and, you know, just having a bit of fun. But yeah, I've never tried to force too much on Luke. You know, he does what he wants. I've never played rugby, and, you know, I've never taken on goalkeeping like what he did. You know, I thought outfield play was more my side of the fence. But yeah, I mean, I do a lot, and, you know, Luke supported me quite a lot with all of that as well. And, you know, I like to think that I've supported him a lot during his journey as well so far.
Okay, good. Yes, Jack.
Which club did you support as a child?
Again, I didn't really have a club, but if I'm going off my favourite players, again, Joe Hart, so Man City. So that's probably the only team I really followed back then. Quite a lot of my mates used to either support Leeds or Manchester United as well. So quite a mixed group when I was younger.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yes, Freddie.
What was the atmosphere like on the bus coming home from Brentford?
Well, win or lose, the atmosphere is usually always the same, because at the end of the day, you just got to forget about what's happened and move on to the next game. But I think coming back so late as well, I think everyone was just asleep, so very quiet.
They're always long trips home, aren't they? I can remember my time at Carlisle. We played Exeter, which was actually a 13-hour drive, and I think we'd lost 4-0, and it was a very long trip home.
Yeah, always is after a lose.
Yeah. So another question from the chat then. What team would you like to play against? So think about making your debut. Who would your first team debut want to be against?
Definitely one, definitely a team from the Prem, because making your debut, you want to make it special. So, but any team from the Prem really, because like you get to have that chance to play against the top players. So even like just getting the chance, even a championship team, I'd love to make my debut against any team, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, you get to say you've made your debut.
I think one of the things that I think, the young keepers like yourself tend to miss out a little bit now with the structure of the under-23s rather than being reserves. So when I was your age, I was playing reserves regularly for Sheffield United, and obviously the reserves then you did get to play against some decent players who were maybe coming back from injury. So you got that experience from playing in the reserve team football, whereas the 23s, you don't tend to really you get the odd one every now and again, don't you? But you don't tend to get to play against.
Get the odd one or two, but it's never really very often that you get to play against the first team players at 23s.
Okay, good. So another question from Alfie. Do you think you've got what it takes then to be Wednesday's number one?
I hope so, yeah. But at the end of the day, you just got to keep pushing. Got to see what happens, because it just depends on personnel really. Because if they keep Westy on, then that's 3 keepers in front of me that I have to overtake. But if they don't, then that's only 2. So it could go either way.
Okay, good answer. So if you didn't get into football, then where do you think you'd be? What career do you think you'd have done?
Definitely rugby. If I didn't do football, because like we said earlier, I got multiple scholarships from different clubs. So definitely be in the rugby career if I wasn't for football.
Anything other than sport?
Probably not, no. Sport's my forte. Not really.
Yeah, there is nothing but sport, is there, Luke?
No,
not for you.
Not really good at anything else.
A job within a sport.
Yeah, all sport.
So obviously working hard is key, but obviously we know rest's important as well and switching off for that. So what do you do in your downtime? What do you do to try and just get away from football and them times when you just need to switch off?
Well, to be honest, like commuting to Sheffield there and back all the time. Now that I drive myself as well, I can't just switch off in the car, because I've done the drive that many times now. I can't just go on autopilot and listen to music. But when I get home, I just like to chill and go on my Xbox or go see mates or chill out with my girlfriend. But it's important to have people in and around you that you can go to just to escape from that football world. Because when you're always in that football world, you can dwell on things and keep thinking about things that you shouldn't. But when you get out of it, you can look at it from almost a third person point of view. So
Okay, it can be
it's
very
important to get out.
It can be very intense, can't it?
Yeah.
So obviously, everybody's trying to achieve what they're trying to achieve, and you can get lost in there at times. And it is good, like you said, just to step back at times and just try and switch off. And sometimes you see things differently because you have stepped back rather than just getting lost in the ride, really, at times, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, question then. So, you'd like to think that you might go out on loan to probably get some experience. So, what team would you like ideally if they come in and said we want to go on loan? Any favourite teams you'd want to
go? Preferably, I'd like to stay local, so I'm not having to change that much of my routine. But if that's not an option, there's been talk about going over to play in the Irish League. So that would definitely be an option. But preferably, I like to stay local. So either like stay to Barnsley or back to Huddersfield even, or maybe even Sheffield United, but I doubt that would happen.
Yeah, you never know, mate.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, for me as well, it's enjoying the ride and getting the full experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I mean, Chris Morgan was on the other week, and I mean, Chris gets a nosebleed if he goes past Meadowhall. So he likes to keep nice and local with, and he did do with his career. So, and I think for me, getting that experience of maybe playing in a different country and just experiencing different cultures is also good to experience as well.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Addy's got another question. Yes, Addy?
Who's your funniest friend at Hillsborough? Who's the who does the most silly stuff?
Definitely Patterson. He's a funny character. So you can always rely on him to have a laugh. He's always goofing around. So yeah, definitely Patterson.
Who's your best friend from there?
Out of the first team, probably Joe, because he's looked after me well. But out of my age, I'd say the fellow keeper, because again, you're always in and around the keeper, so you get that good bond with them. So definitely.
Good questions, Addy. Well done. So another question from the chat. What would your dream centre backs be to play in front of you?
Probably Dunks and Leasy. Because I've been training with them too, quite, especially with Dunkley. So I've kind of got a good relationship with him. So definitely them two, because they seem solid, and you can always, well, you can rely on them, because especially Tom Lees, because he's a senior, so he's good at looking out for you.
Okay, good. If you were in charge of the transfers, then you could bring one player in. What one player would you bring in?
Tough question. I definitely think we need more height in the team, so I'll definitely look for a taller player, especially for a big target man up front, because I think that's one area that we're struggling at the moment, is winning the first balls in the air. So I'll definitely look out for a taller player.
I think it's in that position you've got to grind results out, aren't you? And when you're having to grind results out, you need them types of players in your squad, because it's just about nicking them goals into it rather than just thinking about keeping possession. Possession goes out the window, doesn't it? We've just got to get them results and get them goals. Okay, good. Any more questions? You got any, Grace? Come on, Grace, get Sheffield United on. All the Wednesday fans were asking Wednesday questions. No, okay, good. So, match day preparation then, Luke. How do you like? So, if you're playing, well, how do you prefer to prepare for the match?
Well, for a home game, pretty much like it's always been the same, because for a home game, you don't really have to rush about that much, because it's not that far of a travel. So for my games at 23s, I usually like to have a fried egg sandwich. That's my routine. I've had them since I was little. So fried egg sandwich to start the day off. Then I like to get there like with plenty of spare time, so I'm not rushing around getting changed or anything. And so I'll get changed, just warm up. Then before the game, I always like to drink a full bottle of water, then go for a wee, so I don't need it in the game. Then I always play with chewing gum in it as well. But that's I don't know why. Just like it keeps me concentrated, because it gives me something to do, even if I'm not that involved in the game. It's like I'm constantly chewing, so I don't know. It just helps me concentrate more.
Do you do the same warm up routine each game, or do you change it depending on who you're playing against?
No, if the only reason I'd change my warm up routine is to do with weather. So if it's like a windy day, I'd do a bit more crossing, more kicking to get used to playing in that wind. But if it's a team who sit off and allow us to play, I'd do a bit more passing get my feet going a bit more. But usually I just like to keep it the same, so everyone knows what's happening. I know what's happening, and just take it nice and easy before the game.
It's better for the mental preparation as well, isn't it? If you've got a routine that you're happy with, you go out, you do that routine, and that's you mentally. That's also not only preparing your body, but it's also preparing your mind into. I think if you go out every week and you just think you're going to do a different warm up every week, every now and again you're going to do a warm up that doesn't set you up properly, and that's going to affect your game.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Got another question, Harry?
Would you like to see Big Dave, Gary Hooper, and Stephen Fletcher back?
Playing against Stoke, seeing Stephen Fletcher, how much hassle he caused us, I'd definitely like to see him back. But I couldn't really comment on the others because I didn't really have that experience in and around them. So I can't comment on them. But definitely Stephen Fletcher, because I saw how much hassle he caused us at the back.
And did you think that Stephen Fletcher's goal that he scored past us, did you think it were offside?
Well, you get a mix. You can say it's offside for wishful thinking to try to get that goal knocked off, but just at the end of the day, it was a scrappy goal. So not much you can do about it. So just have to move on from it.
Okay, good. How much have you worked with the younger keepers? Because we had Jack Hall. I don't know if you've worked with Jack Hall. Jack Hall came with us in the summer while he was waiting to get back. So what's your thoughts on Jack? Yeah,
Jack's a good lad. Yeah, I worked with him quite a lot before COVID happened, because especially now in this current lockdown, they've sectioned themselves off, so they're training off-site somewhere else with the 18s, and we're with the first team all the time. So I haven't trained with him in a while, and I haven't seen him or the other keeper in a while. But yeah, I get on with Jack, and he's a good lad.
Yeah, very good.
So
yeah, so it was nice for him to come and train with me with it in the summer. I think it really helped a lot of the students.
Yeah.
Obviously, they got to see the tempo that he worked at and the quality that he'd got. And like we were talking about earlier with you training with Kieran, it's just that extra lift again that just helps you pull along into it. Okay, brilliant. I think that's that gives us about time, that, and I think I've really enjoyed that and took a lot out of it. It was nice to see Jack and Luke and Phil again, and it was brilliant. So any last little questions just before we go? Everybody got what they needed to get out of it? Okay, good. Any final thoughts, Phil?
No. Just thank you all for listening to us for the last hour. It's nice to see there's such a lot of promising young goalkeepers out there. I'm sure Paul will be doing just what he's done with Luke with you all. So hopefully you'll all get back out there in training soon, and just keep believing in yourself, keep working hard, and good luck to you all.
Cheers, brilliant, Phil. Any final thoughts from you, Luke?
No, just again, thanks for listening, and just keep doing what you're doing, keep working hard. But no, just cheers for giving me your time.
Brilliant. So thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you everybody else for joining and listening in. I hope you've took a lot out of it. Same again this week. Keep working hard. Next month, we've only got 1 month then before we're back on the pitches. So we are going to change the thought process a little bit. Okay, so the thought process at the moment has been maintenance and keeping focus, where now the thought process of the training and the mental preparation is going to preparing to come back. Okay, so we will change little things a little bit. Okay, so thanks a lot. Thanks everybody for joining me tonight. And thanks, Luke. Thanks, Phil. And everybody else. I'll see you on the Zoom next week. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Wait!